John Batdorf has been performing for, I'm going to say, 40 plus years. I don't know for sure how many, I should know, but started out as a teenager and went out to California and was performing out there, and I think he just stayed there and stuck with the music of the late 60s and early 70s, and he's been going at it ever since. And we've had him here quite a few times. I've seen him several times. If you want to just get your hands together and bring John out on stage, we'll get this first again. Thanks.
Good start. Well, it's actually been 50 years. Jeez. Yeah, who's counting? It's this year. I started actually when I was 18 with my first record deal with Atlantic. And lo and behold, I just turned 70. Which freaks me out. I remember how old my grandpa looked when he was 50. Man. Oh, thank you. For my age, right? Oh. March 26th? Yes, March 26th. Oh, great. I researched you. Oh, well, good. Good to know. Well, you know, it's fun to get back out on the road again. I went back east about 3 weeks ago for 3 shows. Just thought I'd start easy and just kind of get back into it. And, you know, after doing so many shows online, it was really great to have people in the room. It was really fantastic. And I miss playing here. I haven't been here in probably 5 years or so. And the last time I was in Missouri was at Stillville with Brewer and Shipley. It was a fun gig. But these are always fun gigs, and thank you. This is like a house concert, which I love to do. So I'm going to do some originals I've written over the last 50 years. Some stuff I'm going to do from the Batdorf and Rodney era, and some newer stuff. Boy, it sure is hot. Anyway, I'm going to do a song as my my wife and I got married. It'll be 49 years in September. Yeah. So this song was inspired by not only that. I went to see, I grew up in Yellow Springs, Ohio when I was really young. And that's where Richie Ferre's from. And I went to see him when I lived in California, and he went out on the stage and just played his acoustic, and which was so great to be able to see him and play the old Buffalo Springfield songs. I was inspired to go home and write this song. It's called Me and You. 2 nights, 1 dream, 2 days with 1 awakening. 2 minds learn something new, where there's just one, me and you. 2 hearts, 1 beat, 2 try to make someone complete. 2 think, 1 thought is true, where there's just one, me and you. Never thought that life was adding up too much, traveling the solitary path. Well, I was so divided till I felt your touch, and then I learned love's new math. To sing 1 song, to find 1 place where they belong. to see one awesome view where there's just one, me and you. Some things are forever, some are tried and true. Some things just define how it should be. Some things never change, like one and one are two. And there's just one, you and me. Two flowers, one vase, two lives lived as one, because two souls know one thing's true, where there's just one, me and you. More than all the stars in the skies above, we can count the ways that we can count upon our love. No one would ever feel down if they had what we have found. Two words describe one heart that no one can divide. Two words defining love that's true. Well, those words, me and you. Two smiles, one laugh. Two feel they found their other half. Tonight, one love shines through, where there's just one, me and you. Where there's just one, me and you, me and you. Thank you. Oh, gosh. It's been such a wonderful life. It's really weird to get this far and start looking back at all the fun stuff. And still get to do it today, which is fantastic. You know, Mark and I did 3 albums, and we were done in 1975. And then I formed a band called Silver, and we had a big hit. Ended up in a Guardians of the Galaxy 2 movie. Hard to believe. Would have never believed it, but it's there. And it's funny, to look back at the times when you actually hated doing something, which I hated singing wham, bam, shang-a-lang, and a sha-la-la-la-la-la thing. I thought, you know, I like to write deep songs, and that just didn't seem that deep. But, you know, when it ended up being in the movie, I kind of got into it. I thought, you know, especially since it had 10 million views on YouTube, I go, well, I think all my songs together have about 4,000, so maybe I should embrace it as I got older. Yeah, it does work. Anyway, this is a song that I recorded on our first Batdorf and Rodney record. We cut our first album in Muscle Shoals, Alabama, which, what a great place to play. Jeez. I saw a picture of those guys today, the rhythm section. There's Roger Hawkins on drums and Dave Hood on bass and Barry Beckett on piano. And these guys, you know, when you go down there, here we're from California, we're all, you know, hippies with really long hair. And you see these guys, you see the guys that, you know, they look like they would be in the bar next door, you know, chugging beers. And then they started playing, you went, oh my gosh, you know, it's just, they were so good and could play anything. And what a privilege to be able to have that in my past. It's been great. So this is something that Mark and I did a long time ago. never thought the life would be the way it turned out to be. How was I to know? How was I to know? Roads leading everywhere to places meant for learning. A never-ending flow. Let me go. Let me go. Let me go. Let me go. Judgment Day is every day, temptation's always yearning. Living high to low, living high to low. Today should be my best day, all my yesterdays are burning. We never cease to grow. Let me go. Let me go. Let me go. Let me go. Smile when tomorrow comes and let there be no morning. Make the darkness glow. Let me go. Let me go. Let me go. Let me go. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Well, I sure love acoustic guitars, gosh. You know, I went to California when I was 15, and at that point I was a keyboard player. We had a 6-piece band that we went out to California for 3 months. To seek fame and fortune. And it was a really good band. I played Wurlitzer piano, which is a cool instrument. And I always played a little guitar, but not very much until I heard Buffalo Springfield do Bluebird. And I heard this acoustic guitar, so I went, oh my God, that's fantastic. What is that? Because before that, acoustic guitar was just kind of a folk instrument. And the way Stephen played it was so interesting. And I go, you know, it's time to hang up the piano, get an acoustic, and I did. And about 2.5 years later, we had to deal with Atlantic, so it's a good move. Yeah, it was. So I play on a lot of different tunings. I learned when I was really young. I tried to learn Joni Mitchell songs and David Crosby songs. I thought, how are they playing these chords? I mean, their fingers would have to be like this long. And I thought, well, they're tuning the guitar differently. So I'm kind of a geek about that. I love tuning these things to different notes. Especially when you play by yourself, because it has more of an open sound. And this tuning's been around a long time, and I had never used it. So as soon as I tuned it, this song just started playing itself, and it's called Don't Tell Me Goodbye. Tell me I was wrong. You can look me in the eye and tell me I'm to blame and how I need to change. But don't tell me goodbye. Tell me how I failed and tell me what to do and tell me it's a crime and all the fault is mine, but don't tell me we're through. You can tell me what we built was broken carelessly, and it all was me. You can beat me with the words I've spoken, and I'll take it willingly. Tell me how you hurt and all the reasons why. Just tell me in advance, I don't deserve a chance, but don't tell me goodbye. Tell me not to speak, that nothing I could say could make up or explain or ever heal the pain, but don't say there's no way. Tell me just how long I will have to try to show you I'm sincere. Tell me that it cheers, but don't tell me goodbye. You can tell me there's a million reasons you believe that it's time to leave. Tell me it could be a million seasons and I'll hold on patiently. Tell me what you need. Just tell me and I'll try. Tell me you're unsure, my promise will endure, but don't tell me goodbye. Never loved anybody like you in my whole life, whole life. I can see I've got so much to do to make it all right. Tell me I was cruel and how I made you cry. See, it might be years until I dry those tears, but don't tell me goodbye. Say you wait and see if there's a you and me, but don't tell me goodbye. Tell me you're not sure you love me anymore, but don't tell me goodbye. Thank you. You know, out of everything I ever done, I think writing songs is my favorite thing. It's just you know, it's just such a joy at doing there with a guitar and, you know, have no idea what you're going to do. And all of a sudden, something just starts playing. It's almost like, I know it's really cosmic, but it's almost like guitar just starts kind of playing itself. You go, hey, well, that's pretty interesting. Haven't played that lick before. And before you know it, you go, well, that's good. Maybe what I need a B section here, and it just kind of goes on. And I write a lot of songs with my friend Michael McLean, and we always wondered, you know, how do songwriters? I mean, why songwriters? Why do they get to write the songs? And his theory is that the songwriters get to hear the songs first, and it's our job to play them for everybody else. And I thought, well, that makes sense to me, because otherwise it just seemed like everybody would think of the same song all at once. And I just wish yesterday would have come and played my guitar one day, and that'd have been really good. What was the old joke? You don't want to stand downstream from Paul McCartney. So speaking of Paul McCartney, you know, when I was a young kid, growing up in Ohio, I was a big Reds fan, and boy, they're having a great year this year. They might win 10 games this year. There's a big joke on who's going to win more games, the Bengals or the Reds this year. But when I was a kid, you know, Frank Robinson was on the team, and it was a really great team. And my dream was to be a baseball player when I grew up. And so I loved playing baseball. I played Little League and played school ball until I moved to California. And when I was 11, I got sick with a leg disease called osteomyelitis. And the way they treat it is to put you in you have to be immobilized, and it was in my hip, so they had to put a cast from pretty much top of my chest into my foot. So I wasn't doing much baseball then. Just I had to lay in bed for almost a year. And my younger brothers and sister were the remote control for the TV. We only had 3 stations, so it didn't matter, but it wasn't that hard to find a show. But I remember when the Beatles record just came out, I Want to Hold Your Hand, I thought, wow, this sounds great, because my dad was a musician, and he was a country musician as well as my uncle, and they always wanted me to be a country guy. And I go, yeah, it just kind of seems kind of corny to me. Hopefully you don't like country music, but just, especially back then, there was a lot of, you know, big sequin suits and stuff, and my uncle actually has 3 in his closet that he was a big star in the early '60s. So, but I didn't want to do that. But then when we watched the Ed Sullivan Show on Sunday, and when they came on and played, I went, oh my gosh, this is so great, and it really changed my life. I mean, and I was just turning 12 at the time. And I thought, gosh, this is what I want to do. This is so cool. You know, music by young guys didn't sound corny at all. It was kind of cool. And plus, you know, all the girls were screaming when they played. I thought, well, that's kind of cool too. They don't do that at baseball games that much. So, you know, and 6 years later, I had my first record deal. And so the only regret I did have is that I didn't get to be on the Ed Sullivan Show with Topo Gigio. I don't think it's going to happen. But, you know, I've written songs for forever, and I was up in, my wife and I moved from California to Bend, Oregon. It's going to be 7 years in August. And first went up there to check out the area, which is such an incredible spot. I just had this idea, this little song thing I was working on in LA. And so I'm listening to it early in the morning. She's still sleeping. I got headphones on, and I've got the melody, and I've got the guitar part going. I'm going, okay, what is this about? Because usually something will come. And I listened to it over and over, and then a line came to me. I got the fever back in '64. Ain't felt nothing like it since, nothing like it before. I thought, oh, this is about the Beatles. So that was fun to write that song. So anyway, I'm going to play it for you, and it's called Beep Beep. I got the fever back in '64. Ain't felt nothing like it since, nothing like it before. That night when Lennon sang Twist and Shout, we knew what the Beatles were all about. They wrote songs that made us feel so fine. We heard them singing, and that just blew our minds. They made believers of us all that night. We let go and they sang Hold Me Tight. These boys could write, these boys could sing, these boys could play almost anything. They'd sing their songs that made the young girls scream and cry. So all the boys bought a guitar and tried to sing real high. Beep, 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 yeah. 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 Oh, help me if you can, 'cause I sure miss this band. Oh, the world became a fan the night they sang I Wanna Hold Your Hand. Been 50 years since I first heard those songs, but I can still listen to them all day long. Day tripper, nowhere man, every damn song will make me who I am. They changed the world 'cause we were all listening. I'd give it all for one more chance just to watch them sing. Beep, 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 yeah. Beep, 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 yeah. Beep, 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 yeah. Beep, 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 beep. Beep, 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 beep. Beep, 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 yeah. Thank you. Man, I just remember them on stage and Ringo up on that riser. It was so cool. So, it's amazing what something happens to you when you're that young that reshapes your life without even looking. It just hits you upside the head and go, wow, that's what I want to do. And it's been quite a interesting ride. Lots of really cool gigs. Played Carnegie Hall with the Youngbloods in 1972. Played a nudist resort with James Lee Stanley, and that was an interesting gig. That whole thing about just picture the audience naked, you say, well, you'll relax. It's not true at all. No one's ever played a nudist colony that thought of that. It was interesting, though, you just kind of go with the flow. And it is a weird gig, though. It's really fun to be appreciated. But that was a weird gig to get a standing ovation from. It was rough. It was interesting. The weirdest part, though, is when they turned on the lights at the end of the show and people came running over to the merch table, which is usually a really good sign, but I remember looking at my friend James going, so where the hell do they keep the money? But it was an interesting gig. Writing songs, inspiration comes from a lot of things. And after our first album came out, we had a band house in LA, and we just played music all the time. We didn't have much money. It's funny, people think when you're on the radio, you're just rolling in the dough. And not really true. At least in the beginning, it's not. So we had to figure out creative ways to make our money last. I think we had like a $20 or $25 allowance a month. I mean a week, sorry. It wasn't that bad. And so we had friends that worked at food places, and we had a friend that worked at a movie theater. And we'd go see movies. He'd sneak us in the back door, and usually we're pretty much stoned at the time that when the movie was on. Kind of went with the times, I think, back then. So there was a movie playing that night, and we went down. It was called Johnny Got His Gun. And I thought it was a Western. I thought, oh, yes, it's got to be a Western, like some gunslinger show. Because I was a big Rifleman fan back then. And well, anyway, it wasn't anything to do with a Western. It was an anti-war movie. And it was a story written by Dalton Trumbull about World War I. And it's a remarkable story. Timothy Bottoms was the star in it. And it was shot in the starkest black and white I've ever seen. It's in this hospital room, the opening scene. I mean, this is not a show you want to watch before you go to bed. It was, and it zooms down to him slowly, and it's just this stump laying on a hospital bed with a thing over his face. And it was a guy who was he worked in a bakery and went to war, and he got blown up. And pretty much had nothing left, but the government wanted to experiment with him, and they had no idea he could actually think, and he could think perfectly clear. And whenever he would start shaking to try to communicate, they would give him morphine, and he would slip away, and he would go into these dreams, and the dreams were in vivid color, and it's about his past and his girlfriend, and it was so incredible. And they would just go back and forth and back and forth. And finally, because he was in the service, he knew how to do Morse code, and he started hitting his head on the pillow, and they realized that he was doing Morse code, and he said, "Kill me." So that's a weird thing to see, and then go home and go, "Yeah, hey, that was a great movie." It's like, oh gosh, what do I do? So I went home and grabbed my guitar and kind of wrote a song about the movie. It's not as dark as the movie, but it inspired me to write this song, and it was on the second Batdorf and Rodney album. It's called All I Need. Used to be a baker man, feeding all the world with the bread of life. I'm living for my girl. All I need is a piece of life, and all I need is the time. And all I need is to hear a sound, but all I go is down. I used to be a soldier boy, fighting for my world. Superficial cause, and soon my fate was hurled. Now all I need is a piece of life, and all I need is the time, and all I need is to hear a sound, but all I go is down. Dream of places I remember, lines. Is a piece of life, and all I need is the time, and all I need is to hear a sound, but all I go is down. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Well, my wife and I had twin boys in 1985. Wow. Can't believe they're 37 now. Wow. I think I was 33 when they were born. And we wanted to be the perfect parents, stay-at-home parents, because I was doing TV music then. I worked on a show called Composer for Promised Land and Touched by an Angel back in that time period. Plus I did some studio singing. But I was home all the time, and as much as I love baseball, I either coached or managed my kids' team for 10 years, which is 20 seasons because we have fall and spring. So we were always there for the kids, and my wife was always involved in the school. But things changed, and when my son went to high school, he started doing drugs. And my other son had no interest in it. They were twins, but they were fraternal twins. They were just brothers born the same day. And it got worse and worse. My son started using methamphetamine and became pretty much addicted to it. And it was so scary for us. And we really didn't know what to do at that point. We tried everything and nothing worked. So when I was in California, when I was 15, parents weren't there, which is kind of cool when you're 15 and your parents aren't around. That's great. And I listened to music all the time, and there were so many great writers back in that time that you could learn a lot about life and what you kind of wanted to be when you grew up by just listening to all these great writers. And I know things are different, especially now, but even back then when my son was 17. My friend Michael and I got together and we thought, what if we wrote a song that could maybe reach him and maybe break down the barrier that has been there for a few years. So we wrote this song called I Don't Always Win. And I picked up Matt one day after I did a demo and played it for him in the car. And you could see him listening to it. He didn't know what it was about. But as he listened, you could see him changing, and it was so remarkable. It was like the first time the barrier had gone away, that stay away from me kind of vibe, and it was great. It was like the first thing that broke through, and it was music that did it. So, we figured that if this works for a kid, there's got to be a lot of other people in the world that maybe this could help. So we had this idea about making a record called 12 Songs for 12 Steps. And it wasn't going to be following the steps exactly, but just songs about life like this song is. And Michael McLean and I are not addicts. We are recovering perfectionists and ended up with 17 songs on the record. And we're glad we did. They were good songs. So we made the record finally, and it's called Soundtracks to Recovery now. And we started playing recovery conferences where we'd play in a room in front of 1,000 people who either were addicts or counselors or parents of addicts. And it was such a remarkable thing, and I'm so glad we got to do it. And eventually my son got better, which is great. Well, thank you. It's a hard thing. It's a really hard thing. So this is the first song that we wrote for it, and we made a website. Actually, someone donated a website to us when they saw the performance, and it's called torecovery.net, and it talks about the whole thing, the whole project, and we have videos on there that someone donated. Also, a bunch of videos we did for some of the songs, and we also offer the songs for free for anyone who needs them and can't afford them. And if you can't find the website, if you go on my website, johnbatdorfmusic.com, there's a link to torecovery.net. So this was the first song that started it all off. I want that D to be right where it's supposed to be. Come on, get up there. It's called I Don't Always Win. I'd be a liar if I said that I'm all right. There's no denying that I'm better than I've been. But every hour I'm alone, it's still a fight that I don't always win. No need to tell me what will happen if I lose. I know the hell that will await me once again. But it's a battle, that's the reason for these blues, that I don't always win. No, I don't always win. Such a sweet companion when I feel abandoned, keeps poisoning this canyon called my life. So where will you be when I go another round? Have you decided yet whose corner you'll be in? If it's a champion you think you might have found, well, I don't always win. Still that sweet companion when I feel abandoned, keeps poisoning this canyon called my life. Yeah. Every victory has a cost. If I think I'm winning, I've already lost. I'd be a liar if I said that I'm all right. There's no denying that I'm better than I've been. But every hour that I'm alone, it's still a fight that I don't always win. No, I don't always win. Thank you. Well, I guess I have time for a couple more before we take a little break. This particular song was on the album as well. And it was a song about a mom who was in rehab and coming back to see the family, and how they were all anxious to see each other again and get on with their lives. And we were invited to go up to the Pacific Northwest before I moved there. And we got to play at a women's recovery center. And this was kind of a song that touched home. You know, it's nice to have all these tunings, but it's really important to remember what tuning the song is in. That's happened one time. Sometimes I'll work on a tune and I'll put it away for a while. You know, I just kind of burn out. I just want to make sure I get it. So I'm always messing with tunings, and I recorded this one track with a melody, and I thought, this is kind of cool. And I went back a couple months later and had no idea what tuning it was in. And ironically, the song ended up being called Forgotten. Eventually I figured it out, but I was like, that's a nightmare. So I have to write that stuff down. So this song is called Mama's Coming Home Tonight. Make your beds and I'll take out the trash. Find that disc of Crosby, Stills and Nash. Put the flowers in the vase. Get those books back in the case. Clean this place up, Mama's coming home tonight. We'll feed the cat and give the dog a bath. What's that joke that always made her laugh? Sunday best, I'll get my best blue jeans pressed. Gotta look fine, 'cause Mama's coming home tonight. But she's been wondering if we've been alright while she's been recovering. She might be scared to reunite. Mama's coming home tonight. She may be a little hard to read, so let her know that one thing's guaranteed. We're gonna love her more than we ever did before. We're so glad Mama's coming home tonight. Well, she's been working and she's had to fight, and she's been searching for ways to hang on to the light. Your Mama's coming home tonight. There may be times when you should sit and hold her hand. Don't have to say a single word. She needs to rediscover just how much we all love her. Always, forever. Well, if you need to know, I'll make it clear. Well, I'm not going anywhere but here. One life with my kids and with my wife. We'll be Mama's coming home tonight. Yeah, she's my hero, and she won't lose this fight for me and our family. I'm sure we're gonna be alright, 'cause Mama's coming home tonight. Mama's coming home tonight. Thank you. So I'm going to do one more song and take a break. And don't be bashful. I've been here a long time, and I do take requests on songs that I have actually written. There's always a wise guy out there saying Freebird or something. Always. I remember there was a guy here once. I think he might have had a few drinks. He seemed like it. And I always encourage people to call out a song they might want to hear. And I'm really happy to do it if I can actually play it and not goof it up. So one guy yells out, "Play Can You See Him?" I go, "Well, can you see him?" "Well, yeah, that really needs Rodney. It's kind of a jam thing. Come on, man, play Can You See Him?" I said, "Well, I kind of can't, man." And I kind of went on for a while. I finally just stopped answering. I said, I couldn't play it. And but if you have another song besides Can You See Him, feel free, especially if you haven't been drinking. Anyway, this is my last day out. I fly back to Oregon early tomorrow morning, and had a lovely drive from Buffalo to here today. Not New York, Missouri. Buffalo, New York would have been rough. So I'm gonna do one more song from that Soundtracks record, and this is like the opening song on the record. We didn't know how to start a record like this. We didn't want to get in too deep and have people want to go have a drink or get high when they first heard the first song. We wanted to kind of ease them into it, because the real power in the record was it's how powerful music can be, and so. Again, I was always thinking, I have a lot of good ideas in the morning, and I always have to have my iPhone. We used to have a cassette and have an iPhone ready to, if you have an idea. Several songs have come just when I woke up, which is very odd. And this one came, I had the music kind of going, and I thought, what's this going to be about? And again, I'm laying there in bed, half awake or half asleep, I don't know which it was. And the line came to me, "I play guitar, I like that best. I'm not a star, oh, but I've been blessed. I sing real high, that pays the rent. Some days I wonder why am I this guy? And what has all this meant?" And I go, that's perfect. That's exactly what the song needs to be about. So this is called a very deep title called Ain't Dead Yet. And it's meant because it means that as long as we're here, we can still fix stuff. So we need to fix all we can. So anyway, I have CDs for sale back there. If anyone would like to buy any, they're really good for Frisbees nowadays since no one has a CD player. But you can't sign an MP3. Just remember that. This is the only place on the planet that you can have the artist sign that CD tonight that actually made it. So anyway, thanks for being such a nice audience. Gosh, I forgot how quiet this place is. This is called Ain't Dead Yet. I play guitar, I like that best. I'm not a star, oh, but I've been blessed. blessed. I sing real high, that pays the rent. Some days I wonder why am I this guy, and what has all this meant? I share these tunes straight from the heart, and pretty soon you'll know your part in the refrain or in the verse. These aren't just my songs, I'm passing them along because I heard them first. So when your soul needs fixing and your life's a contradiction and you're burning down like a cigarette, I've got songs for addiction or any old affliction, some tunes to help you with your regrets. What to remember, what to forget, 'cause you ain't dead yet. You ain't dead yet. I think I'm here for something more. It's not to steer the ship to shore or rescue those who'd rather leave. 'Cause I'm part of this crew, I'm in this boat with you, 'cause I've always believed that when your soul needs fixing and your life's a contradiction and you're burning down like a cigarette, I've got songs for addiction or any old affliction, some tunes to help you with your regrets. What to remember, what to forget, 'cause you ain't dead yet. And maybe you're wondering if this could really help. Remember, I'm singing for you and for myself. 'Cause when my soul needs fixing and my life's a contradiction and I'm burning down like a cigarette, I've got songs for addiction or any old affliction, some tunes to help me with my regrets. What to remember, what to forget. So if you get that feeling when you hear me singing, we're not strangers but friends that haven't met. Well, it's the same back at ya. Hope I'm gonna catch ya humming along throughout my set. This is my intro to what you get, 'cause you ain't dead yet. No, you ain't dead yet. No, you ain't dead yet. No, you ain't dead yet. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. I'll be back in about 15, 20 minutes, and thanks for listening. And don't leave, because I saved all my good songs for the second set.
Okay, everybody. We had a good break there. I know some of you got a chance to talk to John, pick up some of his CDs. That's good. I'm sure he appreciates it. Yes, also. Got a couple of things to talk about here. We've got a few shows coming up. I think I'm just going to let you know, like I said, if you go to thefocalpoint.org, or if you use the QR code to get there, you can look at all the shows that are coming up and pick the ones that you want to come and see. They're all going to be good. They may not be the kind of music that you know you like, but we make it a point of making sure that we've got quality music on our stage. So with that being said, I'm going to turn it back over to John, and he'll do another set, and hope you enjoy your night. Thanks.
It's funny, I left Oregon with 8 picks. I've got hundreds at home. So I did have a few requests that I'll get to eventually. They have to wait till I get in the right tuning. But maybe I'll play some of the old ones, which this one I'm going to start this set with was the first thing we cut in Muscle Shoals. The first song we played for Ahmet Ertegun, who was the president of Atlantic. And it was funny, when I met Mark in Las Vegas, I was there, I lived in LA, I was a waiter at a vegetarian restaurant, and I met this girl, and I was doing music, but I had to pay the bills and wasn't making much music back then. I wasn't making much money from the music, at least. And she was a runaway. She ran away from home when she was 16, and I was 17. So we lived together for a while, and I said, I can't do this work thing. I have to just do music all the time. So she says, well, why don't we go to Vegas and we can move in with my parents? And I said, you want to move in with your parents? You're the runaway. I'm the guy you've been living with for a year. How's that going to be a good idea ever? So I thought, oh, what the heck, So we drove up there, and I met the parents. Her father was a lawyer, and the mother was a stay-at-home mom, and she used to hit the bottle a little bit, but that's okay. So did I. But it was really awkward, obviously. They said, "Well, you can live here, but you guys can't sleep in the same room." She said, "There'll be no free love in this house." I said, "Okay, I get it." So, and they were probably very disappointed in the person she picked. They're probably hoping for a lawyer or a doctor or something, and so they didn't know I even played music. And I said, well, I play a little bit. So they said, well, we'd love to hear you play sometime. So at 5 o'clock in Las Vegas, they always had their cocktail hour, and they would break open a couple of Pabst Blue Ribbon Talls. And so they said, well, let's hear you. So I started playing for them, and I ended up, they were so enthralled with, this guy actually is pretty good. So they kind of started liking me then, and so I played for them every night at 5 o'clock. That was my rent. That was my rent. They fed me, and all I had to do was mow the grass. And mowing the grass in Las Vegas in the summertime is really a joy. But it was a way to finally dedicate all my time to music. So I went to a University of Las Vegas, and they had a coffee shop there, and I said, hey, I'd like to play for you guys. So I got a gig there as the guy swept up afterwards and served drinks in between sets. I'd probably do about 4 sets a night. And in came this guy, Rodney, who was living there with his dad. And he was a really interesting-looking guy, kind of always kind of sketchy. And I always said if they ever did a Planet of the Apes, he could be the star and wouldn't need any makeup at all. He didn't really like that, but so he came up to me after the show. Hey man, I want to jam with you, man. And I go, I don't really want to jam. I don't want to be in a band. I really like just doing this by myself. Oh, come on, man. So one night, last set, I used to play Down by the River, the Neil Young song. So he came up and joined me. And he was really good. And I thought, wow, this guy's really great. So we started doing it more and more together. And then I said, I got all these songs, man. We got to learn them, and I think we got something going here. So we learned all my songs, and became kind of a big hit there in Vegas. And so I said, we need to go to L.A. And I know this guy Ahmet Ertegun. I met him in this band that I went out to California with. And I think we could probably get a meeting with him. I thought, I think he'll love us. So we went to L.A. And I had a friend in West L.A. There was 4 of us. We stayed in his girlfriend's apartment. She would probably love that. So I picked up the phone one day and called Ahmet at the Beverly Hills Hotel, because that's where he stayed, and said, "Hey, Ahmet, this is John Batdorf, and remember me from the blah, blah, blah?" He goes, yeah. He probably didn't remember, but he said, "Well, come on over. I'd love to hear it." And, so we went the next day, and he's in this incredible bungalow at the Beverly Hills Hotel. It's this incredible place. And so he put people that had meetings with, like, back in these little rooms, like a doctor would, and he was signing the Rolling Stones in the living room when we got there. He had the manager was there, and so he comes in the room, and he says, "Well, let's hear what you got." So we start playing this song, and he literally, because we were sitting on beds, he was sitting on a bed across from us, like in a regular hotel, and he jumped up in the air and said, "I want to sign you guys. You guys are fantastic. I want to take you to Muscle Shoals, and I want to produce the record." This was on the first song. We thought, wow, maybe we got to quit now. So he did. And then as we left the hotel, he says, "You guys need anything?" We said, "Well, we need a couple of Martins." And he goes, "What's wrong with these?" And then we had Yamahas. And I said, "Well, they're not Martins." So he set up a thing for us to go pick up 2 Martins at this guitar shop. And he gave us $100 and said, "Go get something to eat." So we're leaving him. Mark goes, "Who was that guy?" Well, it turned out it was Ahmet Ertegun. So anyway, we were going to play this really bad stoner song to start with, just to show him how hip we were. And there was a guy in the room with us, and I don't know why he was even there. Maybe he was lost or something. And he said, maybe I'd hit him with something a little harder. So we played this. I woke up this morning and I smiled. I've been dreaming about the good times when I was a child. Happy all the time, nothing on my mind. And I think I'm gonna go back to those years. Well, I got up and took a walk outside, headed for the perfect place where no one's heard a cry. Rolling down the hillsides, wading through the streams. Yes, I think I'm gonna go back to those years. I thought I could never go back to those years I loved so well. Oh, my surprise. Oh, my surprise. Yes, I think I'm gonna go back to those years. Well, I thought I could never go back to those years I loved so Thank you. So that was the one that kind of got us the deal, and then went down and cut it in Muscle Shoals, and ended up being the first cut on the first album, and that was that. At that point, I've been writing songs for years, and I had plenty of songs to do for the first album. And a lot of them were songs I wrote when I was 16. This is probably the oldest one that was on the record. I must have wrote it when I was 16. And Ahmet loved this song. It's kind of a, puppy love kind of song. But I remember we played at Carnegie Hall with the Youngbloods. This was right in 1972. We just were working on our second album. And Ahmet was there. And we got a standing ovation. It was just fantastic. And we went out and we decided to play a new song by Today that no one knew. And so Ahmet comes back in the back. He goes, "Why didn't you go out there and play Where Were You and I?" Well, I didn't think of it, sorry. So he was kind of like our dad. He was always kind of yelling at us, but we listened. So anyway, this was a song that one of the first ones Mark and I worked on together. Where were you and I when I was on the ground? Where were you and I when I was falling down? When I needed you to take me by the hand. When I needed you to help me understand. Changed and I'm not on the ground. Now that times have changed and I'm not falling down. Someone came to me to take me by the hand. Someone came to me to help me understand. Thank you. It's a long time ago. It's funny, I was thinking the other day, I figured I wrote that when I was 16 and a half, and I don't remember when I was 69 saying I was 69 and a half when I was 6 months in. I don't know why we don't say that anymore. Well, I was talking earlier about my dad and my Uncle Earl, who was a big star kind of in the early 60s, and he went by the name of Earl Scott. And I don't know if you guys know what nudie suits are. The suits the country guys wore with the rhinestones, and all the really like Porter Wagner and all those guys wore those things. And my uncle had 3 of them, and he had His all in the back were different colors, and he had a big Scotty dog in the back. And my dad and my uncle were pretty wild guys. Country music guys are way wilder than rock guys. And so my uncle, he was a big, big star. And I think he had 4 top 10 singles. And then he got the brilliant idea to have a little fling with the record president's wife. And he was done. He was blackballed forever. He became a carpenter and showed me his suits hanging in the closet. He doesn't wear those to work. But and my dad had a record out on Star Day, which is a national label back in the day. And he wrote with my mom. And somehow, he, when Silver formed, my brother-in-law, Steve, who's married to my wife's sister, thought it'd be a really great idea if we took my dad out as the roadie for Silver. And I said, why would that be a good idea? I said, would you like it if your dad was the roadie in Silver? And he goes, no, but Jack's a lot of fun. I go, yeah, well, that's the problem. Because he was a character. But we were one gig, and we didn't know this at the time, but he was 43 and he had a 15-year-old girlfriend at the time. He'd been married about 4 times. Can't imagine why. So he sneaks her in the car. She goes out on the road with us, which is really awkward. I mean, gosh, she could have been arrested. But his most shining moment was when we played in Memphis. When we opened for Hall & Oates, and they had just come out, and they had Sarah Smile. And the show was a bomb. It was probably 10% of the capacity. So we, it's kind of the breaks. So what happens is when you do gigs, they usually would put cold cuts out for the band to make sandwiches. They'd have a big trash thing that was filled with ice, soft drinks, and beer. And we would always take that back to the Holiday Inn with us. So we did our set and watched a little bit of Hall & Oates, and we said we're going to split. So we started taking the beers, and the promoter comes in. And he goes, what are you guys doing? I said, well, we're taking the beers back to the hotel. He goes, you're not taking the beer. So my dad, Jack, pulls out a pocket knife and says, we're taking the beer. And we backed out of the room carrying the beer. That's why I didn't want him on the road. But we did take the beer. It was good. So he used to come to some of the gigs, Batdorf and Rodney gigs. And both my parents were big supporters of the music. And so he came to this gig. We played, I think, with Pure Prairie League. And he wanted to know if I had anything new. And I said, well, I got this new song I just started working on. So he said, let me hear it. So I played it for him. And at the end of the song, he just rolled up his sleeve and showed me the goosebumps. And so that's how I knew he liked it. So that's that song. And this is dedicated to the late wild man Jack. Walk along the river looking for a place to call my own. Think I'll stay here for a while. Need a moment I can smile. Ain't it like home? Ain't it like home? Ain't it like home? Ain't it like home? Falling into water almost over my head, reaching for a branch so I can breathe. Need an island to survive. Hoping soon she will arrive. Ain't it like home? Ain't it like home? Ain't it like home? Ain't it like home? Thanks a lot. Oh, my father. Well, he ended up marrying the lady, and they were married till he died back in '97. So it worked out. It just didn't seem like a great idea at the time. So after like 1980, you know, music had changed so much, and I knew that I had other gifts other than being an artist, and I could sing, I could play. And then I really got into MIDI. MIDI was this new thing that came out, and I just thought it was so great that you could play stuff and record it digitally and have it play back. You could write multiple parts and really got into it. And at that time, I was doing a lot of studio singing and got to sing on some main titles for cartoons. Did Darkwing Duck and Garfield and Friends and Tom and Jerry Kids. Sang in the Promised Land show and did some really big commercials that helped buy our first home. We make you feel like driving, and the name is Nissan. That was us. That was like ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching. We're so glad they wanted to change their name from Datsun to Nissan. Thank you very much. And then I got to sing with a lot of different recording groups. Me and this guy, Max Gronenthal, sang all the backgrounds on the Theater of Pain album, the Motley Crue record. And then I started doing TV and did Promised Land for 3 years, which is, gosh, what a great gig that was. And stayed on Touched by an Angel and did score and also did all the source music. And then out of the blue, I get a call when the show was finally canceled after 10 years. This guy, James Lee Stanley, calls me. John, how you been? I go, been fine. He said, where you been? I go, I never moved. I've been here. He moved to Santa Cruz, and I met him in the 70s. He used to come and listen to me and Mark play late at night, and he would sit between us, and we'd just sit there and work on songs, and he was, there may have been some cannabis involved at that time, too. But it was really fun, and so he goes, you know, I have this idea. I'd like to do an acoustic album of early Rolling Stone songs. And I said, well, I'm not really doing anything right now. And he says, I think we can knock this album out in about a month. And he had just bought this book. I don't know how much he paid for it, I didn't ask. That, you know, how you could sell 50,000 records in 6 months. And hope we didn't overpay for it. He said, we just got to follow it step by step. And so anyway, the record took about 7 to 8 months to get done. Then we sent it out to some records stations and radio stations. And XM Radio started playing all the cuts. And before you know it, people were asking us to go on the road. And I thought, God, I haven't done that in so many years. And I asked my wife, I said, what do you think? You know, the kids are kind of grown and probably won't be more in a couple of years. Well, 18 years later, here I am. Because what it did, it got me back into performing again. Next thing you know, I was writing songs I never thought I'd ever write. And it's been fantastic. But this song was the first song James and I did together. And it's just such a good song. And I wish I'd written it, but I was probably about 10 at the time. She would never say where she came from. Yesterday don't matter if it's gone. While the sun is bright or in the darkest night, no one knows. And goes. Goodbye, Ruby Tuesday. Who could hang a name on you when you change with every new day? Still, I'm gonna miss you. Don't question why she needs to be so free. She'll tell you it's the only way to be. She just can't be chained to a life where nothing's gained and nothing's lost at such a cost. There's no time to lose, I heard her say. Catch your dreams before they slip away. Dying all the time. Lose your dreams and you will lose your mind. Unkind, Thank you. That is such a good song. I think they were actually more competing with the Beatles back then. Tried to write more pop songs, and then they kind of went someplace else. It's funny, when James and I did this record, it's called All Wood and Stones, and we had, a lot of disagreements in the studio, like most artists do. And then the record did so well, 10 years later we did another one. We've forgotten how painful the first one was to make, even though it was fun. I guess it's kind of like getting back together with your wife after 10 years and thinking, now I know why we got the divorce. It was the same kind of thing that happened with Rodney. It was so weird. I mean, when Mark and I played all the time, we lived in this house, we just played all the time. We were so tight. And we used to just try to go in and wow people. We'd go into a room and say, hey, we play a little bit. And we'd play all this really fancy stuff and really tight harmonies and stuff. And then we broke up, and I didn't see him for like 35 years. And somebody said, you guys got to get back together and, just talk. And so I was going to St. George for a gig. And Mark lived in Las Vegas still. And so I set up a meeting, and I said, hey, Mark, we're coming by. It was my brother-in-law, and he knew all of us. So we got together, and it was great. And I said, listen, Mark, I'm doing this new version of Home again, and I've been doing it live. It'd be great if you'd come play a little part on the record. It's a little bit different than the original, but I think it'd be fantastic. So, and maybe a couple other things. So he comes to L.A., and, we get in the room, and we're playing with this, like, why have we been such jerks? This is fantastic being together. And about 3 days later, you're going, okay, I remember why we broke up. It's really weird. You can't really go back, You just got to keep moving forward. But it was fun. We did some gigs, and we were supposed to do a gig in Stillville. And Mark canceled 3 days before the gig. So that was kind of that. And so we just moved forward. So this is a song I wrote in 2008. I was on the road during the economic collapse, which after the last couple of years, that seemed like nothing. At least we didn't have to walk around with masks. I remember the first time I walked into a bank with a mask, I go, does anybody say this is a stick-up when they walk in with a mask? I said that because I've seen so many movies. It feels very odd walking into a bank with a mask on. But she didn't really see the joke there. So I'm out on the road, and things are going terrible, and my wife's worried that we're going to lose our home in L.A. So I wrote this little song for her, and it just talks about how the most important thing is that we have each other and the family, and I had a verse chorus, and I thought it was really good, and I thought, well, I don't know what else to say. So I was inspired by the fact that our twin sons were 20 and still lived at home. And actually inspired, a little depressed. That we encouraged them to maybe go out in the world and pay your own rent, and don't worry about us looking over your shoulder. You can do whatever you want. And they weren't really digging it, so I wrote a little song. Second verse is about them, and luckily they have moved on. They're 37 now and have 2 beautiful grandchildren. And they'd both been home a couple of times when they were having hard times. So when my wife and I moved to Oregon, we thought, well, let's be safe. We don't really want the kids to move back in, so let's move into a 55 and older place. So we did. It just made it easier to say, oh, I'm sorry, guys, you can't move back in. coming. How can we live on next to nothing? Well, she's busy stretching out every dollar. So no more gourmet coffee or bottled water. And I'm telling her, what do you got when the well runs dry? What do you got when you can't get by? What do you got when the mortgage rises unaccountably? Oh, what do you got when the cupboard's bare? What do you got in the Frigidaire? What do you got when there's nothing there? Well, you got me. Ain't that enough? You got me. My kids focus too much on pleasure. They think Dad's sitting on a buried treasure. Well, I got a message that might surprise them. When their old man can't subsidize them. And I'm telling them, what do you got when the checks all bounce? What do you got, kid, that really counts? What do you got when the banks announce you're a liability? Oh, what do you got when you're overdrawn? What do you got when your credit's gone? What do you got that keeps hanging on? Well, you got me. Ain't that enough? You got me. Guess I made a promise back when she was 23 that I'd be there to answer every call. But even though I couldn't see that, there'd be times like these I have learned what to say. It's been my way to say it all. Oh, what do you got when you're overdrawn? What do you got when your credit's gone? What do you got that keeps hanging on for eternity? Oh, what do you got when it's all a mess? What do you got now that's not worth less? What do you got that can't repossess? You got me. Oh, what do you got when it turns pitch black? What do you got when there's no Prozac? What do you got when you ain't got jack? Can't you see? Oh, what do you got when your dreams get squashed? What do you got when your wires get crossed? What do you got now that won't get lost? You got me. Ain't that enough? You got me. Thank you. Obviously, the song is kind of tongue-in-cheek. But I did this at this place called the Live Oak Festival. And it was up in Santa Barbara. And I got a call from the promoter of the festival and goes, hey, man, we'd love to have you be on this festival this year. I go, that'd be great. So we'd like to have you Sunday at 8. I go, okay, that'd be fantastic. He goes, a.m. I said, okay, well, who canceled? I said, no, this is the prime slot for this concert, 8 a.m. on Sunday, okay? So, I thought, oh, what the heck, I'll go up there, it's beautiful there. And it turns out they have it's live over the radio, so people camp there for the whole weekend, and they can hear people playing live in their camp. So if they like somebody, they go to the place they're playing. There's 3 or 4 different places. So I started playing at 8, and there was about 40 people there, and then as I was playing, all these people came running in their pajamas with their blankets and stuff because they really liked that they were hearing in their camp. And then by the end, it was just packed. And then I ended the show with with what do you got? And I said, you got me. And the whole place erupted in laughter. And I go, what's so funny? And they thought it was quite a joke. And didn't seem funny when they were laughing when I was singing it, but it's the first time that's ever happened. It was very odd. Anyway, it's a very weird story. I had a request to sing this one. It was on a record I did when I first moved to Oregon. I always wanted to do a record where I played and sang everything. It's so much fun. A lot of work, but just fun. Definitely had something to do every day for several months. So when my wife and I went up to see the place we lived, we moved to Central Oregon, and there was this place that was called Eagle Crest. And we went there in April, and it was just the most magnificent place. It was all these people riding bikes. It was spring break. And we looked at each other and go, my gosh, this is such an incredible place. I said, this is friggin' Willoughby. Because I was a big fan of the Twilight Zone. And there was a show about this guy who was always hassled out at work. And he went on this train, and he went to sleep and woke up, and he saw the same kind of thing. All these people were having so much fun and no stress. And the engineer was saying, Willoughby, next stop, Willoughby. And I never forgot that. So when we moved in, I started writing this song, and it's called Willoughby. Because I loved the Twilight Zone when I was a kid, and Willoughby was my favorite one. It goes like this. When I was young, I loved TV. It took me places, set me free. And every week my mind was blown in the Twilight Zone. It took me one more step beyond, far beyond where I had ever gone. Oh, I loved every episode in the Twilight Zone. How could I be so affected? Why did the show so connect with me? So well produced, so well directed, stories with such scary endings. Except the story of a man who worked as hard as three men can. But his world came crashing down, he was lost in his hometown. Changed direction, leading outbound on this mystery train. When he awoke upon reflection, he felt like his old self again. All of a sudden things had changed. Seems the world's been rearranged, and he felt happy as can be in this place called Willoughby. Smiling faces, no more rain. Wouldn't trade this, not for anything. Never forgot that storyline and how it so affected mine. For 40 years I stayed around, now I'm lost in my hometown. So we took a leap of faith, moved on to another place. Now we're happy as can be, 'cause we found our Willoughby. Yes, we're happy as can be, oh yeah, 'cause we're here in Willoughby. We're as happy as can be. Oh, thanks. Thank you. I haven't played that in a while. It's fun. So, I think I'm really tired. Could be that I'm over 50. So, I'm gonna play one long one here and then call it a night and fly back to Oregon and see you after the next pandemic. God, what a weird thing, isn't it? Just, golly, 2 friggin' years. Oh, you know, it's funny. When I went back and played in Long Island, it was a big house concert, and it was about 50 people in the house. And, you know, I was a little bit apprehensive. I thought, well, gosh, this is kind of weird. I haven't been in a room with this many people. So I walked out on before the first song. I said, you know, this is going to be such a fun night, even though most of us will probably be in the hospital by the end of the week. It's going to be great. Luckily, that didn't happen. So anyway, thank you so much for coming, and thank you for those of you who bought CDs and who bought records in the past, and for all the people that play the records on the radio, and thanks to the Roots station for promoting the show and playing the music. It's just so great. And I never, in my wildest dreams, thought at this age I'd still be playing live, and it's still fun. It's just fun. Thanks. So I'm gonna appropriately end with this song because tomorrow I will be home again. of chasing. Time to slow down, no more racing. Spend some life at home, embracing. All my life I've waited for this day. I am home again. All my life you helped me find the way. I am home again. Nothing in the air but singing. Music plays in harmony. Everything around is ringing. Oh, happiness at last found me. Happiness at last found me. Yeah. Happiness at last found me. Oh, happiness at last found me. Oh, all my life I've waited for this day. I am home again. And all my life you helped me find the way. I am home again. Thank you. Thanks so much. Thank you. Oh. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Can maybe play one more short one for you if you'd like. I just did. Thank you. I'll do one more and then be my roadie. And my roadie looks just like me. It's amazing. We're even starting to dress alike, which is kind of scary. So I'll do one more song that was on the second Batdorf and Rodney album. And it goes like this. Let me see how I do this. inside of me. My dream is that I'd like to be on the way back to where I came from. But all of the fright in me, making things so hard to see, it's seeming like I'm always on the run. So oh, can you tell me where a friend might find a home? Can you brighten up my day? Please, can you tell me where a friend might find a home? I need a place where I can stay. I need a chance to settle down today. So many signs around leading to another town, another place that I can give a try. The sunlight is burning down, it's hot enough to make you drown, and the water I've been saving's almost dry. So oh, can you tell me where a friend might find a home? Can you brighten up my day? Please, can you tell me where a friend might find a home? I need a place where I can stay. I need a chance to settle down today. And I feel like hiding away. Hope that the time is near when I won't have to live in fear or think about the place I'll be tonight. Watch for the skies to clear, leading all my friends to here, helping me and making things alright. So oh, can you tell me where a friend might find a home? Can you brighten up my day? Please, can you tell me where a friend might find a home? I need a place where I can stay. I need a chance to settle down today. Thank you so much. Thank you. I want to thank the Focal Point for supporting live music. Thank goodness you're still here. Thank you. I got blisters on my fingers.